Hello, I'm Bob Schieffer, and welcome to the CBS Evening News Online edition. Just ahead, a new poll out has bad news for President Bush about his approval ratings. Jim Axelrod will have that story. Also, it's been 6 months since Hurricane Katrina hit here in New Orleans, and Mardi Gras is underway. But the city has a new element of crime to worry about: gangs. Plus, how the Big Easy is turning pain into profit. It's all starting now on the CBS Evening News Online edition. It has been nearly 6 months since President Bush stood in this square and made a promise to rebuild this city, which had been torn apart by the worst hurricane in American history. But so much has happened since that day. The war in Iraq turned worse. There was a dispute over domestic spying, a dubious deal to allow an Arab company to operate key American ports, and somehow the effort to rebuild New Orleans has become, more than anything, an example of government bumbling. The result is that a CBS News poll out tonight shows the president's job approval rating has fallen 7 points since the hurricane, to an all-time low of 34%. More than half of Americans now say they have little or no confidence in the government's ability to handle a national disaster, and that is only part of it. We begin tonight with Jim Axelrod at the White House. Jim?
Well, Bob, according to that latest CBS News poll, 70% of Americans disapprove of the deal that would allow Dubai Ports World to operate ports in half a dozen American cities. And that was before the latest revolution. That is, that the Coast Guard had questions about the deal. An undated Coast Guard intelligence assessment was made public today that said there were too many intelligence gaps to fully assess any threat the deal might pose. This latest news is no doubt troubling to a president who assured Americans there was no security risk from the deal. On the bigger picture, the approval rating for Mr. Bush's handling of the war on terror, his signature issue since the 9/11 attacks, has gone down 9 points in tonight's CBS News poll, with both Americans in general and within the Republican Party. And the fall-off in support from Republicans is driving his all-time low approval rating. Support from his own party has dropped 11 points in the last month. And if that wasn't enough, married to all this, growing disapproval on Iraq. Right after the elections there, 45% thought things were going well in Iraq. But with the recent violence, that number is down 9 points. Again, Republican support has also dropped. Okay. Tonight, the Department of Homeland Security has been in touch with CBS News and says that memo was accurate but reflected earlier concerns. And of now, the Department of Homeland Security and the Coast Guard are both satisfied. Bob?
Thank you, Jim. Here in New Orleans, we are witnessing a major milestone in the recovery from Katrina, the first Mardi Gras since the hurricane. Crowds are thinner than they have been in the past, but considering that many thought there would be no celebrations at all this year, it is going a long way to boost the spirits of the people here. The police, meanwhile, have a new and growing problem on their hands. Byron Pitts now with more of our special series, Katrina plus 6 months.
Drinking and rabble-rousing have always been a part of Mardi Gras. But at this post-Katrina party, drunks and pickpockets are not what worries law enforcement the most.
Murder, racketeering, rape, drugs, extortion, carjacking.
Jim Bernazzotti is the FBI special agent in charge in New Orleans.
Katrina caused a demographic and population shift, and with that a criminal element shift.
CBS News has learned the newest criminal element in New Orleans and surrounding parishes are violent Latin street gangs from Los Angeles and Chicago. Tattoo criminals mixed in with the estimated 50,000 Latin workers who've poured into the region to help with post-Katrina cleanup.
Unlike traditional gangs, the Latin gangs are workers. MS-13 are craftsmen. They're carpenters, plumbers, electricians, and they follow the construction trade.
So let me get this right. So they are skilled laborers by day and killers and thieves at night?
For the most part.
Topping the list, the notorious MS-13, considered the most violent street gang in America. With roots in Central America, this is video of an initiation in El Salvador, where new members are savagely beaten for 13 seconds.
They want to be the one with the most killings, the most murders.
Brenda Paz knew what she was talking about in this police video. A member of MS-13, She was murdered by fellow gang members after becoming a police informant. 4 members of MS-13 were arrested recently in New Orleans, St. Bernard Parish. Authorities believe they were sent to Louisiana as spotters as the gang looks to expand its territory.
We're stretched very, very thin right now.
Sheriff Jack Stevens admits his department was already overwhelmed by the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. Now this. None of his deputies speak Spanish. None had any prior experience with Latin gangs.
There's no blueprint for this. Basically, our playbook's out the window, and we're just winging it.
These men were arrested for possession of stolen jewelry last week.
You got any tattoos or anything?
They were not members of MS-13, though one was an illegal immigrant.
Chalmette High, St. Bernard High, and I can almost be certain that none of these guys went to any of these local high schools out here.
One of Sheriff Stevens' biggest worries, unlike American gangs, members of MS-13 have a code. They'd rather kill a police officer than face deportation.
It's a brave new world.
Tonight, some 2,000 federal, state, and local law enforcement officers are in New Orleans for Mardi Gras. They clearly have a full plate. Bob?
Well, Byron, I guess nobody could blame anyone for failing to anticipate this as a result of this hurricane. But, did the police feel they're getting a handle on this thing?
Well, Bob, the Fed certainly thinks so. The FBI recently broke up an Asian street gang from Canada that was trying to peddle 170,000 ecstasy tablets for Mardi Gras. Street value, $1.7 million. Bob?
Well, thank you very much, Byron. As the old saying goes, laughter is the best medicine. And if that is so, as bad as it has been in this historic city, New Orleans has found the right prescription. Here's Kelly Kobayea.
In a city long known for having a very dark sense of humor, it shouldn't be surprising that the worst natural disaster in the nation's history has become the best-selling joke.
I stayed in New Orleans with Katrina. All I got was this T-shirt, Cadillac, and plasma TV. That's my favorite.
Most folks would have a hard time laughing at looting, but the Big Easy is turning its pain into profit.
Yeah, look at that one. Girls Gone Wild, Katrina and Rita.
With that silly vacation staple, the souvenir T-shirt. Everywhere you look, there are jabs at elected officials.
Willie Nagin, Chocolate City.
You like that one,
That's
huh?
Good. Yeah, very much this year.
At the storm, at New Orleans police, and at FEMA.
I think it's cute and catchy. It's supposed to be the new Chocolate City.
New Orleans bartenders are also getting in on the mix. This new drink, the Katrina Rita, is a shade of blue that matches the tarps that still cover thousands of roofs.
It's our best-selling drink at the moment. So
You're kidding.
No, I guess people get a kick out of the name.
That's all FEMA left.
Blue tarp chic is also showing up along Mardi Gras parade routes.
Only in New Orleans.
And 6 months after the storm, they're rolling with what they know best, how to laugh at themselves. Kelly Kobayea, CBS News, New Orleans.
More stories are just a click away, but don't forget to join me on television for the on-air edition of the CBS Evening News. On Tuesday's broadcast, the Zulu Parade. It's a 90-year-old tradition, and Mardi Gras wouldn't be the same without it. For CBSNews.com, I'm Bob Schieffer.